Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It's Sunday Live. It's Week 10. And I'm your boy, Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright from the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning. Lots to talk about. We got the news. We got some players to break down, start-sit questions. I'm going to open the show with this. To all of our football fans in Germany, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we did this to you. What is this product that the NFL has delivered over there? Mac Jones, Gardner, woo! That's a hot fart fest if I've ever seen one. But anyways, hopefully we'll have more action the rest of the Sunday slate. Again, thank you for joining me. If you have never joined us for Sunday Live, here's how this works. We break down all the big news because there's a lot to talk about. We jump into the start-sit questions, thefantasyfootballers.com. That's where the rankings are right now. I cannot possibly talk about each and every single player. I will do my best to hit the hard-hitting questions, and that's what part of this show is, our start-sit tool. It's available. It breaks down our rankings. It gives you a bunch of other different variables that you could factor in. Hopefully, we are helping you make the best decision that you can make for your lineup. But while we're tracking those, you find out that a lot of players are trending and that a lot of fantasy managers out there have similar questions about which players to start. So we get into those. Who are the hot players? Then I jump into the questions directly from the people. So let's jump into the news.
The big picture.
I did forget. My best friend Owl is here running the show for me today.
What it do, Foot Clan?
What it do? We got to get this what it do out of here. This is Jason.
Yeah,
Jason,
you can blame Jason Moore for that.
Jason has infected us. All right, the big in-out of the day. I got my paper right here. Arizona. All right, here we go. I mean, number one, everyone in the nation should be rooting for the Arizona Cardinals to win. I don't really want them to win because I like that number one overall pick, but things must be done. Things must be done. We need retribution against the supervillain that is Arthur Smith. But anyways, the point being, Kyler's back. We know that. Like, that already happened. James Conner is also back, and I believe it was Jason on the show at one point this week. He pointed out, like, Josh Dobbs was doing okay for Arizona, and then he wasn't. And it seems like there's a lot of correlation there that James Conner was missing, or when he went missing, Arizona's offense went into the absolute toilet. So what is your confidence in James Conner? I'm not asking you. I guess I'm asking myself. It's honestly pretty high. It is compacted with Amari DiMercato is out. Not that he is, a proven player by any stretch, but I believe that is proven that he is clearly the second best running back on this team, but he is going to be out another week with his toe injury. I mean, if I'm the Cardinals, it's James Conner. We're right back to it. The guys that they've been rolling out, like Keontae Ingram, he can't get it done. James Conner is in a pretty good spot here for volume. Keaton Mitchell, the hot waiver wire ad for the Baltimore Ravens, he will be playing. He got a little bit banged up. Can you start him? That's a difficult question. Yes, he has home run ability, and the coaching staff has said Keaton Mitchell, he deserves to get more touches. Cleveland Browns, I don't know. Keaton Mitchell, if I was the one who was so lucky enough to get him as the priority ad of the week, I'm probably sitting him down. I get it. There's teams out there where you might be desperate enough to play him, so at least he is active. Kendre Miller will be out for the Saints. This guy his body is always recovering. Always recovering. Always getting hurt. Alvin Kamara remains a great play. Dameon Pierce of the Texans will be out. Can Devin Singletary actually get something done against the Cincinnati Bengals? That is to be determined. But he was out there for about 75% of the snaps. He was the absolute workhorse for the Houston Texans this past week. When you're out there that much, that should lead to more opportunity. Perhaps he can volume his way in. The big one, at the wide receiver position, Jamar Chase will be playing. He went through his pregame warm-up. They deemed that he is ready to go. To me, Jamar Chase is in my lineup. Could he be just a distraction, out there on the field? Maybe. But T. Higgins, it was ruled out earlier. Hey, shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals for getting that done early. We appreciate you. If you know a guy's not going to be on the roster, just rule him out. Just take care of it for us. But with T. Higgins out and Jamar Chase, it's just a pain thing in his back. Not saying that Jamar Chase isn't dealing with a lot. I mean, we've all hurt our back. Look, I'm old. I hurt my back sleeping, and I wake up, and there's no way I'm playing in an NFL game. But he should see so many targets. I'm playing him regardless of the risk. Robert Woods of the Texans is in. That's more of a Noah Brown type of a note. Will Noah Brown get anywhere close to what he gave us last week? It's going to be a lot harder with Robert Woods in. Chris Godwin's going to play. He was dealing with illness. For the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson was labeled as questionable, but they did not activate him. He will be out. You got to hope that he's coming back next week or maybe the next week, or we're waiting for a long time. But along with Justin Jefferson being out, KJ Osborne has been ruled out. He got concussed in the last game. I think he actually cleared concussion protocol, but they said it was a player and coach decision, so he is not going to play. And I'll just piggyback that real quick. TJ Hawkinson is going to play. A lot of rumors and whispers of a snap count, only putting him in there in, high leverage situations, which that's unfortunate. Can the Minnesota Vikings get into high leverage situations against the Saints with just Jordan Addison and Alexander Madison and crew? I'm not super hopeful about it, but TJ Hawkinson, I'm playing him. Like, let me look at my tight ends over here. It's like maybe Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson in that range, because I mean those were waiver wire guys. Maybe you still have them. I would be okay playing them over TJ Hawkinson, but for the most part, I'm just gonna keep rolling Hawkinson out. Like tight ends like him, when they're only in important situations, often that's third down and red zone. So that's where we want him catching the ball anyways.
I got a name for you real quick. That's trending anyway.
Sure,
what
let's
about
go.
Taysom Hill?
I'd play Taysom.
Right.
I would play Taysom over TJ Hawkinson. That's a really search inside yourself to make that play because TJ Hawkinson's a stud. But at this point, the trends for Taysom Hill, there's no reason to believe they will go back. Just turn it off and stop using Taysom Hill the way that they are, which is like a true Inspector Gadget out on the field. This isn't just the obnoxious, they get to the goal line and maybe Taysom Hill gets the carries. He's been a huge part of this offense. So, yes, I would go with Taysom Hill. T. Higgins, I said he was out. Zay Jones remains out for the Jaguars. He was getting in a few practices. Maybe keep an eye on him. Michael Wilson of the Cardinals is expected to play. If you have a spot, I would pick him up. If you need to find yourself a juicy player for the stretch run here. Let's see. We got Curtis Samuel is expected to play for the Manders. Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of rains on the Dotson parade of the last couple of weeks. Paris Campbell. That was nice of our team to include Paris Campbell. He's questionable for the Giants. Nice. And the other big one, Stephon Diggs. Oh, brother. That was a full-on panic attack that Stephon Diggs decided to give us with not doing practice and because of the back. But he's expected to play. It is Monday night. I have Stephon Diggs. I shall be, as they say in the biz, riding dirty. I will have no backup option for Stephon Diggs. If he doesn't play, crap. That will be my response because there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, there's the pivot options for the Monday night game are so low. All right, Mr. Al Borland, is the computer ready?
Let me check. It is.
That means it is.
He's so hot right now.
All right, repeat it real quick. TheFantasyFootballers.com. That's where the rankings are and the start-sit tool. If you are a beautiful supporter of this show at jointhefoot.com, not only do you get all the premium tools, extra episode every week, your start-sit tool is for players. So if you want to jump over there and check that out, much appreciated. Otherwise, the rankings on the website, those are still completely free. And the start-sit, Player X versus Player Y, that is available to you right now. Owl, who is trending? Who's hot?
All right, we're going to get a temperature check on one player at each position that is top in the trending charts. We're going to start with Kyler Murray. Everybody's wondering what to do with Kyler this week.
Yeah.
Are you starting Kyler or Sam Howell?
So, oh gosh, Sam Howell has been on a bit of a heater here. I have Kyler one spot ahead of Sam Howell. Howell will be in Seattle. Seattle is, look, I'm still going to give the Seattle home field advantage the credit that I think it deserves. It's a tough place to play. Little bit rain. I didn't sound the alarm or anything saying that you got to pivot away from your players in this game, but there will be rain. It can affect players like Joe Burrow who have tiny little hands. But so I don't know. Does Sam Howell have tiny hands? I don't know. We'll find out. We will get to find out in this particular game. I would accept the risk of playing Kyler Murray. These guys are back-to-back, so I don't think you go wrong saying I'm going to put Sam Howell out there. He's got he's got McLaurin and Dotson and Curtis Samuel. Hooray. But, I mean, Curtis Samuel is scoring touchdowns for him, so it really does help Sam Howell out. If you want to wait 1 week on Kyler, I get it. I trust in the plan, the recovery plan. I don't know that I trust in the coaching staff of the Arizona Cardinals, but the fact that they took this long, let him fully recover, playing without a brace, that's great news for Kyler. So I lean Kyler Murray a little bit. Who's next?
All right, two more players, Kyler Murray or Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy.
So I'm fine with Brock Purdy over Kyler. I would play Kyler over Trevor Lawrence. He gets to play San Francisco. The Trevor Lawrence season is so difficult. Also a reminder, Chase Young, now a 49er. Their defense was already really good. The Trevor Lawrence season is very difficult because it's fun for me as someone who I was kind of out on Trevor Lawrence taking the next step. I mean, he's played fantastic. The Jaguars are an incredible team. The touchdown variance is just bouncing to Travis Etienne. That could easily bounce back to Trevor Lawrence. Through the wide receivers, fantasy scoring wise, that's where you can beat the 49ers. So Trevor Lawrence is in a tier for me this week where I don't think it's an egregious call to play him over Kyler. Should you want the safety of, I'm going to make sure that Kyler Murray's actually ready to play. I get that. I would say CJ Stroud on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, I would play Kyler over him. And that's a tough one to handle. Stroud is still a rookie. If you look at the game logs, he's had absolute nuclear games like he did last week, but he's had really bad games as well. On the road, I will take Kyler Murray in his home debut. Who's next?
All right, we're going to move over to last week's wide receiver one. A lot of people are asking about Tank Dell. Are you starting Tank Dell or Marquise Hollywood-Brown?
Oh, that's a fun question. I take Dell much like C.J. Stroud, who, I mean, it makes sense. They're connected. Tank Dell has had red light, green light. Absolutely, he's an incredible player, but he is not the type of player yet where you're like, lock him in, 8+ targets. Now that's a number I took off the top of my head, and I can go look and be like, oh crap, Tank Dell has 8 or more targets. The point being,
he's got lots of games with 3 and 4 targets.
Perfect. So the point being, like, it can't be Nico because it's Nico Collins is not going to play. But like, what if Robert Woods comes back and Robert Woods has 12 targets this week? Like, those are things that can happen. On top of, I hate the matchup for C.J. Stroud. I think that the offense is going to struggle. So I lean going with Hollywood-Brown against Atlanta. And then, come on. You get to cheer against Arthur Smith. That's real fun, too. Win-win.
All right, what about Christian Kirk versus Tank Dell?
Oh, give me Christian Kirk.
Okay.
The 49ers, great defense. But to reiterate what we broke down in the matchup of that game is they're allowing points to the wide receiver position, and Christian Kirk is just absolutely on fire. He is the number 1 wide receiver. It's not Calvin Ridley. Evan Ingram is going to handle his business on the underneath. He'll probably end up 7 catches for like 53 yards or something like that. But Christian Kirk is just each and every week could explode for your roster while giving you a safer floor, I think, than Tank Dell has right now.
I'm glad you mentioned Calvin Ridley. Would you start Calvin Ridley or Tank Dell?
Oh my gosh! All right, let me actually consult. I would, man. I got to pull up what is Calvin Ridley actually done in recent memory here. Like the week 1 is just so stuck in your head. Okay,
Yeah,
so
week 1 and week 5 he had good weeks. Other than that, he's been
it's been pretty bad. We had 10 targets, 6 for 83. The wide receiver 30, you can shake that off. You get 11.3 points from any wide receiver like that. You're very like I got like 11 points or so from Michael Pittman today, and with the way that Gardner was playing, I'll take those 11 points to the bank. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna play Tank Dell over Calvin Ridley. That Calvin Ridley is just a level of volatility that is going to probably continue to hurt your feelings the rest of the year, because he is a prime candidate to be that player that you finally bench him and he just goes off on your bench. But for that particular one, I'm gonna go Tank Dell over Calvin.
All right. Let's move on to the running back position. We're going to talk about Jaylen Warren, and we'll just blitz 3 names real quick. Are you starting Jaylen Warren? I believe he's facing the Packers.
That is correct.
Run D. Or Devin Singletary, Jerome Ford, James Conner.
So it's really risky, but I think I would put James Conner at the top of that list. Workhorse against the Falcons. So Jaylen Warren, who is Jerome Ford.
Yep.
Jerome Ford against the Baltimore Ravens. That is not my favorite matchup. And then who was the other
Devin
one?
Singletary.
Devin Singletary. Oh,
at Cincinnati.
Yeah. I'm going to go. I would order those Conner, Warren, Singletary. Oh, man. Ford or Singletary is such a difficult decision there.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with Ford. I'll go Ford over Singletary. Man, Devin Singletary, you just hurt my feelings too much last week, man. But the Singletary and Ford, I have them 2 spots away from each other, so that's not a huge discrepancy. But I would risk it. I'd play Conner above all those players.
Okay. And lastly, the tight end position. We talked about him a little bit already. Taysom Hill.
Uh-huh.
Everybody wants to know what to do with him. Are you starting Taysom Hill or Sam Laporta?
People are asking that one, really?
They are.
Wow. Sam Laporta for that one. That is like I don't think that's a slam dunk, but Sam Laporta has just been so incredible. This game against the Chargers, it's on the road. The Lions are favored. This is one of those games that you're crossing your fingers and, well, not Lions fans are not. I apologize. Fantasy fans are crossing our fingers going, this one might shoot out. I think that this one has, all the kindling of a game that could turn into like high 50s, maybe even low 60s in total of points. I think that's in the possibilities. So Sam Laporta would be the play for me. Like the Taysom Hill against the Vikings, they're thinking about the game script unless the national hero Joshua Dobbs can surprise us again, which I think it's going to be harder to surprise us with just Jordan Addison and a limited TJ Hawkinson. So I'm going to go – I'll chase the game script. I'll get Sam Laporta in there.
Okay, I figured that one would be pretty easy. But
okay.
What about T. McBee or Evan Engram?
Over Taysom Hill?
Correct.
Evan Engram, if you're in a full-point PPR, I would go with Evan Engram and just take the safety of that. But Trey McBride, let's see what Kyler's tendencies are. Kyler Murray in the past, like when we had a healthy Zach Ertz was getting, and I'm talking with Kyler, like we had a huge target share for him once upon a time. Trey McBride at this stage of his career, in my humble opinion, is a better offensive weapon than Zach Ertz is. So we will see. But if I had Taysom Hill and Trey McBride, that's a pretty good problem to have. I would go Taysom Hill.
All right. I was going to say let's get to the people, but I'm seeing the people actually ask, are Are you doing Taysom Hill or either of the Daltons, since those are both starts of the week? Dalton Kincaid and Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Kincaid would be in there for me. He's my tight end 3 currently. And Dalton Schultz, I do have ranked higher. This is over Taysom Hill?
Correct.
Still,
yep.
I have Dalton Schultz ranked higher than Taysom Hill, but I am okay making that maneuver of going with Taysom Hill. Again, maybe like I'm hoping that C.J. Stroud surprises because I want all defenses to fail. I mean, I want only offense in the NFL, but I have my concerns that I have my concerns for the Texans offense. I hope that I'm wrong. I mean, I don't hope that I'm giving advice that you're going to bench Texans players and then they surprise us, but that's just I see it that the Texans are going to struggle. I mean, not everyone puts up 30 points a game. It doesn't happen in the NFL. So is that it for the
That's
start
it.
sit?
Let's get
All
to
right,
the people.
To the people.
Stardom, set 'em.
All right, we'll start right here. Malik or Malik, I apologize. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Sam Howell or Stroud. That's where I would go with Sam Howell. I would chase those points. There is a little bit of rain, but there is also the chance that Seattle and Washington end up just throwing haymakers against each other too. You know, when you're factoring in like start sit decisions like this, you know, it's always also a wise thing to see what do the bookmakers think. And right now the Seattle Washington game this will be a funny point. They're at a 44.5 point over-under. The Bengals Houston is 46.5 point over, so it's a higher over-under, and the Texans actually have a higher implied team total than the Commanders by about a point. So look, well, eggs on my face. But I'm going to bet on the Commanders offense this week, giving us a little bit more than the Texans. Next question. I don't know who it was, but it was a Tank Dell or Garrett Wilson. I would play Garrett Wilson. Yeah, man. The fact that you even have to think about, do I play Garrett Wilson? Just eat dirt, New York. Not the state, the Jets. I mean, not making a better decision than continuing to go back to Zach Wilson. It's unfortunate. Everyone wanted Zach Wilson to be good this year. We all did. And he's not. Let's see. Kyle says Zay Flowers or JSN in a full-point PPR. I'm going to go with JSN. Zay Flowers is pretty much a must bench at this point until you see something turn around. The way that the offense has gone for the Baltimore Ravens for Zay Flowers, like they were, you know, feeding him a bunch of really short area targets, screens, drag routes, just trying to get him involved in yards after catch. He was getting a bunch of PPR points, but wasn't doing a lot. And I was, you know, on the podcast saying, please give him downfield targets. And they said, okay, well, instead of doing the downfield targets, we'll just take all his targets away, and then the offense is going to look really good. So that's why you got to bench Zay Flowers, because their offense is clicking right now, and it does not involve a ton of Zay Flowers action. Let's see. Michael says Hawkinson or McBride. I would risk it with Hawkinson with that one. James wants to know Kirk or Madison. So is this a Christian Kirk? Just a small note here for the chat. When you're sending in your message, they're not charging you by letter. So your internet service provider. So if you just want to like give me the, you know, like the first letter of the first name, so I know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna guess that this is Christian Kirk. This versus Alexander Madison, and that one, I think Madison's not a great play this week against the Saints. Should see a lot of volume. That's one of the interesting storylines that I will be watching for today. Does Ty Chandler get on the field more, or do the Minnesota Vikings go right back to Madison? But Christian Kirk is absolutely in for me over Madison. Infamous just says Saquon Barkley against Dallas, and the answer is yeah. Saquon Barkley. I think we laid out the arguments for and against him, and my argument was more on the side of against him. But He should see 20 opportunities at least. Matchup, I would not want to be a New York Giant today, but I think that Saquon will get plenty of opportunities here. You're just hoping for catches. Let's see. James wants to know Gabe Davis or JSN. Try and imagine how many people are starting Gabe Davis, and if it's under the 30% mark in your head, then you can start him. It should be good. It should absolutely be good for Gabe Davis. But I'm gonna play the rookie. The rookie has been on the rise and is looking like someone who's going to be interesting down the stretch run. Next question, G35 though. Don't know. I'm missing something. I'm old. Derek Carr, Murray, or Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray there. I will take on the risk. And my last thing here on Kyler Murray, it is a high-risk maneuver. I'm not at all pretending that a guy making his season debut in Week 10 for a team that he has not run the offensive system in a regular season game, it is absolutely risky. But I think that the risk is worth the reward for fantasy football. We're up against the clock here, so a couple quick ones. Bob says Curtis Samuel or Dotson. I'm going to go with Dotson just as a man of principle, and also that Dotson's been playing much, much better the past couple weeks. There was a Taysom Hill or DK Metcalf question. That's incredibly tough. DK has been so disappointing, but the targets are still there. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf. And we'll get out of here on this one. Twymom33, Debo or Addison. So my philosophy on Debo is the guy has missed 2 whole games. He's essentially missed 3 weeks because he got hurt and played about 15% of the snaps. He's been out long enough. I'm playing Debo with full confidence in this particular matchup. Addison is an absolute wild card today. I think he has the skill and ability to be a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. But is he ready to do that against the Saints with little supporting cast? That's tough. I'm going to go with Debo if I had that option. In fact, I have Addison, and I would love to have Debo, and I would put Addison on my bench. So that's how I'm going to handle it. That'll do it for today's episode. Remember, thefantasyfootballers.com. That's where the rankings are. Wish you nothing but the best and your enemies nothing but the worst. And remember to keep it beautiful, and I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah! Goodbye!